Hey guys, I'm Olmo,
I'm Mark.
and this is The Life in Dublin.
You have just spent maybe the last 6 months traveling around Europe. Obviously, you're originally from Sri Lanka. It's an incredibly different culture from what you're living in right now. But you've also got to sample probably more of Europe than I have. Since the fact, you've been traveling around different cities for the past 6 months.
Yeah.
How was
4
your
months.
with all
Specifically.
with all the posts on Instagram and that, it felt like longer. How was the experience, first of all?
It was great, man. It was undoubtedly like one of the greatest experience I have. Like, going to 24 countries in Europe, performing in 50 cities. It was a goal, and I achieved it. So it's easier now for me to tell in Europe where I haven't performed rather than where I have.
Yeah.
So it's an amazing experience. Like, I learned a lot. Like, yeah.
What was the weirdest place that you were?
Oh, Hamburg. I don't even
really?
have to think. Like, yeah, Hamburg, man. Like, I went on stage. I didn't have an opener. I didn't have a host. I went on stage to a very cold room. I was like, hey, Hamburg, how are we feeling? Are we ready for the show? Dead silence. Literally pin drop silence. I'm like, you guys paid for the ticket to come and see me, right?
Yeah.
Not the other way around. Like so
That
some
has to be
enthusiasm.
a weird feeling.
It was because, like, the thing is, like, when you do comedy, like, there are, like, again, like, you might bomb in some places. That's part of the job. But when you go on stage, you basically expect people to be enthusiastic because they don't know what's coming towards them. It's like they're happy to be there, like, kind of like, and then like that first line is what you read the room's energy.
Yeah.
And when it's dead silence, you're like, yeah, this is gonna be a long hour.
Yeah.
Like, I was like, whoa, what did I sign up for?
Like, do you ever get to a point where if you start initially, like, you're got up, you've done your preparation, you're ready for it, and you say your first joke in this dead silence, does that not, like, would you ever, like, just walk off? You go, I'm not up for this tonight.
No, you don't do that. It's your job. As a comedian, you need to know how to win them up. So even in Hamburg, like, it's weird because that's because of the start. But during the show, it was a good show. But it's basically like, if you're experienced enough to be on stage, if you have done comedy long enough, your job is to win them over.
Yeah.
There is nothing like you wouldn't give up like after one or two jokes. Like there are techniques that you would, like, because it can be for many reasons.
Yeah.
Because obviously you wouldn't be opening your show or your set with what do you call that, like, with very strong jokes. Like, you leaning towards it, like, as the show goes on. So
What do you mean by very strong jokes?
like you wouldn't, like, drop, like, something that people would go, oh my god, what the fuck did he say, like,
Right away.
like you wouldn't get into that part. Like, you would ease them up into, like, they understand, okay, like, these are all jokes, like,
And what you're about.
exactly. Because, like, I always tell this to up and coming comedians as well, like, there's a very thin line between a punchline and a political statement.
Okay.
Because when you say that your punchline, if nobody laughs, it immediately turns into a political statement. So
I'm interested to know a little bit about, because I've been thinking a little bit more recently about, like, what Ireland is now. I've been watching a lot of old interviews that, Irish presenters did 20, 30 years ago, and there's footage of Dublin, and I was like, whoa, this is a different place. And I don't really know necessarily what, let's not say Ireland, but what Dublin is these days, if that makes sense. Like, what type of place is it? And it's hard for me to know because I'm from here. You don't really see, because I'm all the time in the same place, you know how it is. You just become accustomed to it, and if things change, it changes so slowly that you don't really notice. What is your impression of Dublin?
it's a good, like, so as we have discussed before, I moved to Dublin for comedy.
Yes.
Right? So it's really up to what I expected it to be. Like, within the 1 year I've been here, I have grown really like I've grown very much so.
How? I don't understand that.
So the reason, like the main reason moving to Ireland was, so I was doing English comedy in Austria, right? So doing English comedy in Austria, where the main language is German, like, you know, it's a very niche market. Like, you know, every time we do a comedy show, if you have 100 people in, there are like 7 Austrians. The
Okay.
rest are all expats, like, you know,
Yeah.
everybody who, like looking for something to do in English. And when that happens, you get into a bubble. Like you are like you get into a bubble that I can't like really explain. Like, you know, like it, like your writing skills get into this one focus. Like, you know, you tend to be like, you know, that. And I like the main reason moving to Ireland is I wanted to be surrounded in an English speaking environment.
Yeah.
And coming here, like for example, my first language is not English, right? So for example, like when you do comedy in mainland Europe, most of them, their first language is not English as well, right?
Yeah.
So you're on stage, they're very polite, right? And even if they want to heckle you, they wouldn't, because once you come back at them, they're not sure if they have a comeback. Like, you know,
Yeah.
it's like, holy shit, like, you know, he said this, now what? Like,
He
you know,
answered me, what
right?
do I do?
and being in Ireland for 1 year doing comedy here, like, you know, my like my comebacks have become way more stronger when I go back to do shows in mainland Europe, and if somebody says something, I can immediately, like, you know, like I have something to say back, like, you know, I handle this stage, not you, like, kind of thing. And that skill is something that I developed in Ireland.
Here's something which I don't know if this is like, this is what I think of. You don't have to be a comedian to be able to be, it's necessary to have good comebacks in Dublin. Like, you could be walking down the street and someone says something to you a bit weird, but if you have a good comeback, people will be like, ha, and then just let you walk on.
Yeah, that's how I met my best friend in Ireland. Like, you know, like the first conversation I had, like I was having a smoke outside the pub. He just came out like to have a smoke, and he was like, "Fuck you and your good hair."
Instant best friends.
And I was like, "At least I got hair, but and we are best friends now." So, like, you know, that's something that I would never forget, because that's how our conversation started. Like, you know, and it's basically like. And that's the other thing, like we just spoke about it earlier, like, you know, when you come to Dublin, like, you know, like you don't feel like that. It's a very artistic place. The artistry is everywhere, like once you are in the creative space. Like, for example, you don't see that in Dublin. If you go to Berlin or something, they prove, like, you everywhere you see, you can notice, like, okay, that guy is a writer, that guy is this, that guy is that. But like in Dublin, you won't notice it until, like, you like, oh yeah, like that's how things goes. Like, you know, that guy is in a pub having pints, but he's actually writing a book, kind
Yeah.
of thing, you know,
to
like,
more join the
exactly.
circles to notice
It's
what's going on around.
exactly, like, you know, like there's so much things going on. There's a bunch of musicians. Like I was telling, like, you know, like in Dublin, just walk around and kick a bush, like there will be 15 comedians jumping out, like, yo, what's happening, like, you know. So
At least people will call themselves comedians.
Yeah.
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 It's funny when you're talking about when you were saying the story there about how when you were living in Austria, and, you know, it's people's second language, so maybe the jokes don't always land. And I was talking with a friend today where, I don't know, for whatever reason, we were talking about an English exam that we did back the junior cert, which is when we're like 13 or 14 years old. And it was like the state examinations, and one of the essay questions was my pet hates. And we were like, geez, the essay, like, what did you say for that? You know, pet hates obviously being things that you really don't like.
Like your pet peeves.
Pet peeves, exactly. And one of the guys came out of the exam and he was like, geez, that was easy, lads. And I was like, well, it's like, yeah, it's easy. Like, I just talked about my dog, you know? He hates squirrels. He hates, you know, when people are loud. And we're like, we just didn't say anything, you know?
my dog used to hate my president.
Your president.
Every time the president comes on screen, he just jumps on the bloody TV. I'm like, okay, he understands.
He's one of us.
Yeah.
That's funny though, because I think animals can pick up. Did you also hate your president?
Everybody hates our presidents.
Fair enough.
We kicked the motherfucker out. You have to leave every president who has been in Sri Lanka, like, nobody liked him. Like,
See, this is where me doing a bit of research would have helped to follow this up. When you were touring,
yeah.
and I know, like, you might have a night where you do an amazing gig, right? You're in a packed room, everybody's laughing. You go home and it's like, okay, in the next 6 hours, I need to get on a flight. There's that kind of sense of loneliness, a sense of kind of almost like, not, I'm sure you never ask yourself, what am I doing? But do you ever compare yourself to what I would be doing if I just did a normal job, or compare yourself to maybe friends and things
Hell
like that?
no.
No?
I wouldn't trade what I'm doing for anything. At the
That's
moment.
amazing.
That's, because yes, when you're on a tour, like when you're on a tour for like solo tour, right? In my level, like it's not like I'm traveling with an entourage or something, like, you get lonely 90% of the time. This is every night. You do your show, lights switch off, people go home, and you're like, yeah, for 1.5 hours, I just made these people laugh, and look at me now. I'm just going to my hotel room, all by myself, knowing that I have to get up in 4 or 5 hours to get on the next flight or the next train to go to the next country or next city,
Yeah.
do another show, repeat on repeat, and by like that's another reason that I was taking breaks. I was coming to Dublin after every 12 days. Come to Dublin, stay for a week, do some shows here, hang around with people, go back on, because otherwise you're gonna lose yourself, because you have to work smart, not you can't just you're gonna burn out otherwise. So you have to, like, when you're working, regardless if you are doing the best job, this is the best job, but even if you're doing the best job, you need to know how to because especially this was my first solo tour.
Yeah.
First solo tour for a comedian is the comedian's break or make moment.
Okay.
So that's the tour that you're gonna decide, I wanna keep doing this, or I'm gonna quit this. This is not the life I was imagining, right? So for me, luckily, there was nothing to break in me. Like, everything that needs to be broken has broken a long time ago. So I was like, this is grand. This is the life I really wanted to live, and I'm living it the way I want to live. I mean, obviously, levels might change, but yeah, I'm doing what I want to do.
I don't know what's happened, because in recent times the black tracksuits, the black hoodies, and just black everything in general have become incredibly popular.
Man, I used to love North Face. And North Face is not a cheap jacket, it's an expensive jacket. Right? And when I was in Vienna, it's way more colder than in Dublin. Right? I was like, I always wanted to own a North Face jacket.
They're great. They're
Not since I came to Ireland. I'm like, oh shit,
Yeah.
this is the only place that I haven't been racially profiled by the guards, or the police. I'm not putting myself in there again,
North Face jackets. It hits home in a certain place.
It used to be Canada Goose.
No, well, back in the day, it was Gore-Tex jackets.
Yeah.
The big ski jackets.
Yeah.
It's always been quite expensive ones, ironically. And then there was the Burberry scarves as well, which was kind of like both the chav thing in the UK and here. And there used to be a thing as well.
Now it's Hoodrich, I
This
think.
is bringing back some memories.
Yeah, now it's Hoodrich.
The fake bulletproof vests.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You would remember the cap. There was you used to wear the cap pointed up this.
Yeah, on the back of your
You ever
head.
saw that? I never understood that one. It made a cap
In
instantly.
Spain, they do that, but with helmets when they ride their mopeds. Instead of wearing the helmet on the top of their head, they wear it way back here. So all this part is exposed to the elements. It's like, it's
And if you crash, it's instant death.
Instant.
I think
better not to remember.
Yeah.
I think that's probably why they do it.
I'm glad those trends have gone away,
Yeah.
Now there was another one. I don't know if you remember this or if you had this one as well, but tucking your tracksuit bottoms into your socks.
Still
That's
happens.
still-
We have some.
She's
in the
doing it
audience.
right now.
Yeah,
There we go.
I mean, okay, moving swiftly. Yeah.
What's with the hands in the pants? I don't understand that one.
Hands in the pants?
Hands, in the front, in full exposed. There's better places to keep your hands warm and sanitary.
I also don't appreciate the way you direct that question at me.
Out of the two of us, I think you're the more Irish one.
Have I done something weird or what's going on?
Ma, keep your hands away from the pants.
Keep your hands outside of the vehicle at all times.
They're definitely washed. What?
But how you keep the energy is up totally up to the like until the comedian takes over, and that's the thing. That's the other thing. Like like not everything is gonna go according to the plan. Like so you open the show. You start hosting, you warm up the crowd, you bring the comedian in, and then you keep ball rolling, right? You go, and then the moment you feel like a comedian doesn't do well,
Yeah.
it's up to you again to bring the energy up. And if it is too much energy, you need to bring it down. Like like you have to find the balance. Like like it's a lot of science.
We can call it that.
Curious how you bring the energy down to a room, because other would think that you would just make them laugh or make them anticipated. How do you bring it down?
It's again like, so if people are like overly excited, you need to like like calm down. Let's like yeah, like, because it's again, like as I said, I don't know how to explain the technique. It's just that you need to understand, like, because if they are more energetic than you, it's gonna be hard for you to like match their energy, because you have a specific role on your when you're on stage. So you need to like chill them down, like because otherwise, if you don't do that, if you don't bring like the energy to a level that you can cope up with, it's gonna be really hard, like, because they might get bored otherwise. So that like you chat to the people, like you get some, like you work with the crowd, like immediately you wouldn't like if you see like a high energy room, like you would be like, how's it going, like and then once you start talking to them, then the energy starts coming down, and then like you move from there.
Thank you so much for being here. I know that you were the fourth person on our podcast again, and you're the first person to come back onto the podcast. And when we were doing this live, I knew I wanted to talk to someone that I knew and that I could trust, and that basically has the capability to speak.
At least in front of people.
Well, I talk for a living, so
I was like, well, if I completely mess this up, he'll make it work.
No.
So I really, really appreciate it. Thanks for doing it. Obviously, the idea of this, and the reason why I don't want it to go on for too long, is because the ultimate idea is that we get to chat to each other, and we get to meet new people and stuff. So that's what we'll do after this when it's finished.
Thank you so much for having me. I always enjoy, like even the chats that we have outside. Like it's
you're a
it's
legend.
very
Fair play.
interesting, and like I like talking to people, like sharing knowledge.
One of the best things in Dublin are the seagulls.
Yeah.
The whole show. You can learn so much from the seagulls. So much.
Yeah, they're interesting creatures. Yeah. Like I have a joke about that as well. But then like after I wrote the joke, I actually saw how baby seagulls were treated by the parents. They're actually very well disciplined.
Okay.
What? Yeah. And I was surprised. I was like, how can I put this part that I just witnessed? Like, they would never fight for their food. The chicks would never fight for their food. And
Chicks are the ones with the brown dots.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They would never, like, they would wait until the parent would come and feed them, and they would never fight. Like, there's always like 2 chicks or something. So I was just looking over, like, from the rooftop. I was like, how the hell did they get so gangster once they grow up?
Yeah.
Like, they're very well disciplined. Like, like
They learn from
you
the
technically can't blame the parents.
Yeah.
Like,
Thanks a million, Malinda. Can we give a little clap for Malinda? That was like, woo! And for anybody who's listening, thanks a million. And let's have I'm not going to have a pint, but let's have a drink.
Yep.
Hi, thanks for having us. We're one half of Flight of Ideas. We're doing an acoustic couple of songs for you today. So
thank you so much for being here, guys. Really appreciate it.
Thanks for having us. So this first song is called Apology. So just close your eyes. They're not trying to find you. If I run away ice wears thin. We wilt like gold flowers that our mother once grew, soon neglected to water. She is kind and she'll love you dearly. But I'm too tired, I'm just so weary. The blame is mine and I'll take it gladly. The blame is mine and I'll take it gladly. This next song is called Cherries. 2, 3, 4. I went picking cherries while you were pulling weeds. We suffer different symptoms but share the same disease. When the nettle stung your finger, you screamed it's your fault. But we best keep looking forward, or we'll both be turned to salt. To salt. I slept on the bus home while you walked in the rain. I ask you the same questions, but the answers always change. Is this skin worth shedding? Who are you when it's gone? Is all pain worse than learning? Who do you love most of all? So sick and tired, still trying to. So sick and tired, but surely so are you. Surely so are you. I went picking cherries while you were pulling weeds. We suffer different symptoms but share the same disease. When the nettle stung your finger, you screamed it's your fault. But we best keep looking forward, or we'll both be turned to salt. To salt. I slept on the bus home while you walked in the rain. I ask you the same questions, will the answers always change? Is this skin worth shedding? Who are you when it's gone? Is all pain worse than learning? Who do you love most of all? So sick and tired, still trying to. So sick and tired, but surely so are you. Surely so, surely so, surely so. Thank you. That's our couple of songs, please. Thanks. We're called Flight of Ideas. Normally there's 4 of us and not a harp. This is our acoustic version. It's